Chelsea win 6 games on the bounce for the first time since 2022. They qualify for the last 16 in what were quite treacherous conditions, really. Minus 11 degrees, the majority of the first team squad left at home, and a very young Chelsea side given an opportunity tonight. As ever, I want to get your thoughts, feelings, opinions, views on that game, players that stood out. Who stood out to you and why? I would love to ascertain your views on that, your man of the match as well. Of course, we want you to also check out our new Football Terrace community, and a number of people have already signed up. If you remember already, we're scaling down membership just down to the academy level. It's going to be renamed, but academy level, so you keep your badges, all of the fun stuff, our watch parties, our live events, day-to-day quizzes, our leaderboard of all of our most frequent users is all going to be basically, you scan that QR code, it'll all be over there. So give it a scan now. Go and check it out. See whether you like it. There's loads to come. And thank you to everybody so far that has signed up. The watch party last night was amazing. Where to start tonight with Chelsea? Look, I want to actually start by praising a few. Actually, no, I'm going to praise the team to begin with. Chelsea, look, it was a game that they should be winning. It was a game that they did win. But 6 wins on the bounce for the first time since 2002. As we're about to go into 2025, you're talking almost a 3-year period. It is significant because it's the start of Chelsea really and truly becoming this far more superior, this far more consistent side. Now, some will say it's Astana and they should be beating them, and you're right. But can we all comfortably, hand on heart, say that last season or the year before that, if 80% of Chelsea's youth academy went away from home in these conditions with their system, with their manager, would they have won? The answer is probably no. And you'll always get stick from rivals. You'll always get kind of poor banter. You'll always have the sort of the negativity that will come out saying you should be winning these games. You shouldn't be happy for doing the bare minimum. But when your club has been in the mud, when your club has struggled to win 2 games on the bounce, let alone 6. These are small achievements that you should celebrate, that you should be proud of. Of course, continue to push the team to do more. In terms of the young players on the pitch, I want to make sure I get all their names right because I'm not familiar with all of them, as I'm not a Chelsea fan, as many of you know. So I'm going to make sure I get the names back up in front of me because I want to make sure that I have them right. Bear with me a second because I need the results, not the. There we go. No, I clicked on the wrong one. Because I'm pleb. Let me go back 1 page. There it is. So I'm going to get the team back up in front of me. So obviously Mark Guiu got himself a brace today. I thought he was really good. He looked strong. He looked accomplished. I actually thought his first goal was excellent at any standard you play, where he sort of used his skill and his strength to bypass the player and an excellent finish. And the second goal, you want to have a striker that's capable of doing that, even at this young age. He can fish out those kind of poacher goals. And I thought Pedro Neto was highly influential in that first half, would have carried on causing havoc in the second half had substitutions not been made. But those two did well. I thought George on the left-hand side, barring not scoring, I thought he had a very good game indeed. And look, if Chelsea ever need to cash in and raise some additional money, you've got players like Mihajlo Mudryk who are good. But I look at someone like George and I think there's potentially a high ceiling there. So it gives Chelsea that ability to maybe move a player or two on. I know they've got really good quality coming through. I was also impressed with Raksaki? Really impressive performance from him. He kind of played a couple of positions on the night. And what I liked about him, and this may not sound like a massive compliment, but I think it is, he makes the simple things look easy. He didn't overcomplicate things. He looked like a veteran out there at times. I was really impressed with him. I thought Vega at left back had a very good game as well tonight, indeed. I'd love to know who your standouts were. Let us know in the comment sections below. So I thought some of the kids did well tonight. They took their chance. They took their opportunity. And look, they bought a lot of young players, Chelsea, and some were on display. But it was also a lot of, I believe, I was listening to the commentators, a lot of the Cobham Academy graduates there as well. So a really good opportunity for them and probably a proud day for the Chelsea family to see them play. They got their goals. Yes, they conceded, but it was a screamer. There's not much you can do about it. Second half, I thought they defended really well in the circumstances. There was a lot more pressure put upon them. I thought it was a really solid performance in that second half from Chelsea, and one that they should be proud of, these young players. If this is your first team and you have a second half like that, maybe there's a bit of disappointment. Maybe there's a bit of frustration in the sense of, and I want to make sure I say this in the right way, a disappointment of, we should have gone and scored more goals. But this really, in that second half, when you look at who was on that pitch, it was a lot of who came on. And I'm going to probably butcher some of the names here. It's the first time I've heard of any of these guys, but they had young Dyer that came on. They had Harvey Valla as well. They had Ampra. I mean, I've not heard of these individuals. They're so young, though. They're so inexperienced. And they came on in a really cold environment, a really, not a hostile environment because of the noise. It wasn't overly atmospheric in the stadium, but the cold weather, the distance, the time, making debuts or very, very early appearances against men, essentially. And a lot of these youngsters stood up and did very, very well in that second half. So I think Chelsea fans should be proud of that. The important news is Chelsea qualified for that last 16. Zero worries of any playoff games. But I do have a question before I bring out Winter Surfer to have a chat. I do have a question. If we, as in football fans, could raise a petition and UEFA granted this petition and said they would promote Chelsea to the knockout stage of the Europa League, would Chelsea fans take it? And I say that, I know that some Chelsea fans want to complete the set. And I tweeted this out earlier. And the reason I say that is just because on a real level, these games aren't competitive. You're so much better than your opponents, right? It's so much better. And I don't know how hard this competition is going to be to win. That doesn't mean you won't celebrate it. It doesn't devalue it. That is not why I'm saying this. I'm just posing the question. If Chelsea fans were offered the opportunity to go into the Europa League, would you take it? I'd just like to know yes or no and the reason as to why. Personally, I wouldn't want Chelsea getting promoted because you're better than Man United right now. And I would, in fairness, I might do a swap with you. If Man United and Chelsea could swap, would you take it? Because we might win the Conference League. I don't know right now if we can win the Europa League. But would you swap? And let me know as to why. I really would like to ascertain that. There's a comment here from Neo who says, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is a £35 million academy player. Look, him and Neto with your experience out there tonight, and Dewsbury-Hall more so than Neto needs the minutes because he's not playing a lot in the Premier League. You know why he isn't playing a lot, by the way? It's simply because if Caicedo and Enzo were performing to the level they were last season, and Caicedo more so the first 3 or 4 months of last season, if they were still performing like that, then Dewsbury-Hall would have gotten more game time. The only reason he hasn't played more is because the rest of your midfield has gone up a level, the level that it should have been, and he's a backup. And a few people here saying he's rubbish. I don't know if he's rubbish. I think he's a decent, average level player. I thought he'd do better at Chelsea than he has done so far, but it's early days still for him. Gav here says, complete the set gives players winning experience. That's also a good reason to stay, Gav, as you say. Stay in this competition, win it, builds that winning mentality. You go into the Europa League, it's less of a gap. I mean, I honestly feel like you winning the Conference League is a guarantee. I feel like it's a guarantee. And as long as in the knockout stages you register some of your big boys, you might go away from home and lose 2-0. But you know you can come back to Stamford Bridge and throw Palmer and co on, and you're smashing these teams to bits. You really, really are, in my opinion. It's also making me consider how big of an achievement really was this for West Ham. No, I'm joking. It was. They're not as good as Chelsea Football Club. Absolutely not. I don't want a freebie upgrade. I hear you. I'm just wondering. I'm wondering the rationale as to why. Terry, thoughts on Cole Palmer linked to Madrid not happening in a million years. I get why, because he walks into that Real Madrid team, kind of sitting on that attacking midfield to right-hand side to give him balance. He walks into Real Madrid's team with ease, but Chelsea are not selling him at this particular juncture. Man like Nick here says, I'd be lying if I said I knew half the academy players. Raksaki, and listen, I'm going to struggle to say, is it a Chimpong? Stood out. He was in central midfield, right? I thought he looked really good today as well. To answer your question, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't complete the set. Fair play, Nick, and I understand that. I really, really do. Winter Surfer's joining me now. Winter Surfer, another European victory, 6 wins on the bounce. The kids looking good. Mark Giu scoring a brace. Break it down for me. What are you happy with? What impressed you?
Well, just on a side note, I think that's the first game I've ever watched a professional footballer, a goalkeeper, wearing a woolly hat in goal. I know it was cool. I've never seen that before. Even the ref had all the gloves on and everything. No, it was listen, it could have been a little bit of a slip with the team that we picked, but no, like you said, there was some players we recognised, some players from the academy. It was a straightforward win in the end. Their goal was an absolute banger, by the way, so there's no blame on Jorgensen for that or anything like that. They rarely troubled us. It's just with the conditions and everything like that. I'm glad we got a lead so quickly that we didn't really have to strain ourselves or do anything. But we should be steamrolling through teams like this anyway. You know, I always said at the start of the competition, I think we should have been given a bye to the final, and everyone should play against us in the final. Because these games are just there for me for give minutes of players that don't usually play. I mean, we didn't play some of our usual players in the team. There's no Nkuku or Felix or Badiashile just off the top of my head. You know, it was we had, like you said, it was like Neto and Dewsbury Hall were the really recognised big names out there. And like I said, like you said, some of the kids like Raksay, who I don't really watch or anything like that, but there's big like buzz about Tyreek George and Achimpong, especially with our right back situation with Achimpong signing a new contract. So they stood out. They played well. And Mark Gui got or Guy or however you pronounce the name, got a couple of goals. So and Vega, who is very good as well, got there as well. So just no injuries. Just come back to, I would say it is warmer over, but it's still cold. But just come back, and then we the full team can concentrate on Brentford this Sunday. So that's
the thing. You get that respite, and Achimpong. Sorry, he wasn't the central midfielder. He's the right back for you. He's
the right. Yeah,
I did think he looked good, and you know, I actually saw Don talk about. He just called him Joshua when he tweeted about him the other day. He obviously talking about him. You know, there is a pathway to right back for you now with Reece James's body letting him down, and I think there's an opportunity for him to pounce. I also look at the left-hand side of your attack. I know some Chelsea fans will defend him, but I'm not too sure if Mykhailo Mudryk is ever going to be the guy. Jadon Sancho's got that place down. And if you could cash in and get quite a bit of money back for Mudryk and then promote someone like Tyreek George to be the backup, that's an option now for Chelsea. And I think he demonstrates, yes, he hasn't got the finishing touch yet, but what I liked about him and I liked about Raksaki is they both just do the simple things well. They keep it basic when they need to. They don't overcomplicate matters. They've got a good first touch, good basic technique in the sense of they don't look like they're struggling out there, where some of your first team players, and I put Mykhailo Mudryk into that, there are times where he can look amazing. There are times when the ball kind of bounces off him like he's a brick wall, and you just think, I'm not too sure. So look, it's a good problem for Chelsea to have with these young players coming through as well. And as you say, all rested for the weekend ahead. In fact, most of your players, even a lot of the first teamers that play in the Conference League, didn't even fly out there. So very, very good for him.
I think Neto was only out there because he's suspended for the Brentford game. So it's just to keep minutes in his legs essentially, because he'll be out for like a couple of weeks. Because we're not in a League Cup this week, so next week that's popping up. So and like you said, I think when it comes to the youngsters, I think they just have a different mindset because they probably know they're not going to get a lot of the games. Yes. So it's almost like a free hit essentially for them. Whereas like you said, the guys like Mudryk and like Dewsbury Hall, I'm convinced Dewsbury Hall was only bought because he's like an inside man for Maresca in the dressing room. So he's like there for one season just to build up Maresca's rep for the rest of the guys. He'll be gone in the summer anyway. But it was just we should be able to play the kids in this and in the next game against Shamrock at home as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm just glad. I don't think we ever would, but I think it would have been embarrassing if we had to play 2 playoff games in this competition.
Mate, yeah.
I just think we should win. I think we should win every single game. It's like there's no one. There's only the only 2 real names. It's not even like on a fair basis that I recognise are Fiorentina and Real Betis. They're the only 2
They're the
other
only
names
two that are going to be able to cause you any real problem.
Yeah,
Which
any
this is
real
also, I know the format's different now, but it just goes to show how embarrassing it was that Tottenham went out in the group stage all those years ago. It just shows how poor that was. Yes, I know they had to forfeit a game, but they should never have been in that position. You know, I mean, West Ham have won it. I think that's the thing as well. If West Ham are winning it, Chelsea have to. But honestly,
it has to be. It has to be. It would be a big, even as well as Maresca's done this season, it would be a massive embarrassment for this club not to win this competition. It would be embarrassing. Should be a gimme.
I hear that. I hear that where you're coming from. What is it? Kieran Dewsbury Hall back to Leicester for 50 million. He's what CAA Matthias is here.
That'd be some return. I'll tell you, 20 million on 20 million on top.
King Kings here says Dewsbury Hall is having the Cucurella situation right now. He's going to pick up form, and we are going to be surprised. He's such a good player. Let's not let him go yet.
Well, he's not ahead of the three that are in the midfield. He hardly makes Premier League squads either. That's the thing. He's not even if he's coming off the bench to get trash minutes. He's getting these cup games every couple of weeks. I mean, no doubt he'll play in the FA Cup third round against is it Morecambe? I can't remember who playing there.
Yeah. Do you know what I think is a really good sign about that though? Just as listening to what you've said and the viewers on this show, is sometimes managers have their favorites.
Yeah.
And this is proof that Maresca doesn't move that way at all, because this is someone from his previous club who he could have persisted with no matter how well others are doing. In fact, he's barely getting minutes, which I think goes to show it doesn't matter if you play with under him before, if you've been brought in as this kind of, it sounds like a player that he's pushed for, saying I really need someone like him, but instantly he hasn't needed him and he's not forcing him into the team. And I know Man United have, I think Chelsea have in the last couple of years, managers that will persist with players that are not good enough, or there's better on the bench, or they play them out of position to squeeze them into a team, and it makes you imbalanced. And I think that's a good, if it doesn't work out with Dewsbury Hall, I don't think any Chelsea fans really going to care in the medium to long term. But I think it's a really good sign that your manager isn't sort of married to the idea that he has to play.
Yeah, and also I think if he does go, which I think he will, there's all talk about bringing Andre Santos back from Strasbourg anyway to be part of this squad. And even I think there's some talk even in January of like being an Ugo Chukwu back from Southampton, like because it's not working out on loan there. So it's it's one of those. But I like I said, I think sometimes when the new manager goes in, they bring like at least one player in. Like sometimes when they leave, it's like whether they're going to be a part that they just put them in there like to familiarity. Sometimes I think
like, someone that knows the manager's word and sort of says
look at David Moyes with like Fellaini when he went to
what's his name? Harry Redknapp used to do it all the time with the likes of Jermaine Defoe and Cranchar and these players. Basically he's like his own child. Look, everyone who's tuned in, I want to thank you all. Winter Surfer, thank you for tuning in. If you want to check out our new TFT community, scan the QR code on the screen now and check it out. Off to watch Man United versus Victoria Pilsen. We're live after that. So if you want to join us, big game for us, really. We've got to go and win this. Like we're in a bit of jeopardy here. We've got to go and win. We've got to go and make a stand. Let's see what we can do. We'll see you all after that game. Even if you're not a United fan, join us back for that match and we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. Peace.